Well, I remember when I went to it was my first sun holiday really when I was 18. Factor 50 everywhere, but I didn't realise how to rub it in, so I was just walking around like a big goat. Uh, I forgot to do my feet. So I went and fell
Oh
asleep.
no.
So I got my feet were burnt. So I learned a lot of stuff about sun cream with that trip.
To be fair, if you
Uh,
don't rub it in, the sun is definitely not getting through that cream.
Welcome back to the Sports Energy Podcast. The weather's changed, Boomer. Our good times are over.
The depression has hit hard. The seasonal affective disorder has come back, and after
Yeah.
after 3 weeks of glorious sunshine, wet, windy, just miserable. I went up for a long cycle on Sunday, and I turned back after about 10k, and then all of a sudden the sun came back out again. I was like, I'll just keep going. Talk us through your weekend, buddy.
Had a good weekend. Little bit of activity on Saturday, had a match. And then I had a wedding. It was one of the lads I used to play football with. It was his wedding, so had a good catching up with guys I used to play football with. Also, the better half was away with our friends at Tenerife, so I was able to overindulge a little bit more than I usually would. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
Not that you need an excuse to overindulge, but talk us through an Irish wedding. What happens then? Is it any different, or what happens in an Irish wedding?
Not really. We go on a little bit longer. I've been to an English wedding, and they always seem to finish earlier, or maybe we just go a wee bit longer. But a lot of the time, like English weddings would have finished like at 10 or 11 o'clock, but we would maybe go on to like half one, two. We're in the residence bar, so whatever time the residence bar finished was whatever time we got ourselves finished up at. But it was funny. There was one time we went to, was at an English wedding a long time ago, and it was almost like a split room. It was like half Irish and half English, and they couldn't get the Irish ones to stop near the end of the night. And one of the guests went up and goes, "If you want the Irish people to go home, just play the national anthem." And then
Oh,
he played the Irish national anthem. Everybody just stopped, and then as soon as it was over, they all just left the room. And the DJ was like, "What just happened?" He says, "Like for years, the tradition was at the very end of the night they'd play the national anthem, and then that was like the cue to say, right, the night's over, away go."
oh, really? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a genuine, or is that you just
That
making
was
that up?
that was a genuine. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
It
Okay.
doesn't
Oh,
it
wow.
doesn't happen as much now, but definitely when we were younger and we maybe first started to go out, the end of the night was always like the national anthem. If you were down in Dublin or you were down south somewhere,
Oh,
it was always national anthem, and then that was like the cue. The lights would come on, the anthem would come on, and then everybody would just leave.
no, that's
But
interesting. Yeah.
the D-
Which
the DJ that night in England, he was in shock about how quickly everybody just left.
one of the best weddings I've ever been to is actually one of our close friends. He got married in Corfu, so his wife's from Corfu, and the Greek they know how to party. Oh, their food. Oh my, we've talked about this before on Danos's
Yeah.
podcast, but oh my goodness, that was amazing. The Greek know how to carry on. It was good fun, and it was roasting hot in Corfu, and like right up my street. As you know, when you're on holiday, you wake up the next day, the sun's shining, and you feel great. You feel great, regardless of how many hours sleep you get. A bit different at the moment when it's a bit miserable just now. But hopefully things will improve. We did say it's only May, and it's going to be June this weekend, so we just got to keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully. So last week we had a really good conversation with Reena, another very, very passionate sports dentist.
I really love listening back to that, and there's a lot of things that I picked up that maybe when we were having the conversation, because she was kind of speaking so passionately about sort of things, they kind of got lost in translation a little bit. But I think re-listening to it actually kind of hit home just how much she's actually done for a sports dentist in India. Like, my goodness, that lady knows how to do some and more. Very, very inspiring.
Yeah, I just don't know where she gets the energy from. And like
Yeah.
the distance that she would be traveling as well in such a big country to be able to achieve this is amazing. I'm really interested in how they've set up that centre in Mumbai where it's free for athletes to attend. That was quite an interesting setup to have out there.
Yeah, and I think I meant what I said. It was like, I'd love to see, like, I'm not just saying that because we want to go. But I would love to see how that would work, because can you imagine the sheer volume of people that would be going through that clinic? And if you're offering them free services, obviously there must be background checks, because she said it was for athletes, didn't she? So, but I mean, the amount of things they must see, the amount of athletes they must see, it must just be mind blowing. There must be a massive facility. So we would love to, when we catch up with her in person, it'd be great to kind of pick our brains about that a little bit more. But that's very unique, and I can't really see something like that happening in the UK. We've got obviously the wonderful NHS, but it doesn't work that way. Like, it's not just because you're an athlete you will get seen, you can walk in and you get seen right away. As we know, things take time with the NHS. But obviously, if you get things privately, you have to pay for it. But she was saying that it's all paid for. Like, the athlete doesn't have to pay anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's difficult. You really have to have the big buy-in by the government, which she seems to have been able to achieve in India, or a private setup that's covering the cost for the athletes. So whether that's the governing body of a certain sport, or the likes of the Institute of Sport, English Institute of Sport, or something like that, that would have that set up. But I don't know if if that's going to be very close. We're still pushing sports dentistry as much as we can in the UK, but we may be a little bit off having that facility for athletes.
Yeah, well, she's obviously got friends in high places, which helps, and she's very persuasive in a good way. Obviously, I mean it in a very good way, because she's so passionate about it, and she can really deliver. And I believe that. I believe she can deliver in what she says. If she says something like, I totally trust you. That's what I kind of got from that conversation. I felt like I could trust her from what she was saying and about what she was able to achieve and what she can do. If I was an athlete and she says, I can do this for you, I'll be like, yeah, I trust you. And I that's what we want to kind of come across. And I think a lot of the people who have been on the podcast, well, everybody who's been on the podcast so far, I get that feeling. I get that feeling of trust. They're not just doing it for themselves. They're doing it because they want to help.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we've done quite a number of podcasts with sports dentists, and we've done quite a good representation of worldwide, different places, South America, North America, India in our last one. So I think we should change it up a wee bit and look at maybe doing some non-sports dentist podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we obviously had a discussion about, who should we get on, or what should we talk about. And I had a good friend of mine who, she plays cricket for Scotland. She plays professional cricket in England, but she was also, or is, a dental student. Now, a lot of us sports dentists are field athletes. Said this a few times. But what is it like for somebody to actually have the tenacity, or have the confidence, or have the belief to pause dental school, pause being a dental student, and go and pursue being a professional athlete? And I felt that this next guest was the perfect fit, and I was absolutely delighted when she said that she would come on, because I think it was quite a unique conversation to have. And many of the people who are listening to this podcast would look back to their university life. I certainly do think, what if? But she's not doing that. She's actually doing it. And, I said to you, just trust me on it. She speaks so well. She's so well known, certainly in the UK, when it comes to cricket, for various reasons that we'll get into, hopefully, when we do talk to her. But you're quite interested as well, because you don't know much about cricket yourself. So we'll talk about cricket a little bit more. And obviously, with the Manchester conference in September, we're going to be doing T20 cricket. So why not get our first guest, who's not a qualified dentist, but is a professional cricketer, about doing dentistry at dental school? Good place to start, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I don't know a whole lot about cricket, possibly just the overs and that there's bats involved and a ball. But it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm really looking forward, and you find it from working with athletes, they all have like a mindset that when you talk to them, you can see that mindset come out, and it's that drive and that passion that's been able to get them to where they are in their sport. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation, and particularly how she was trying to balance her studies and her sport. It'll be interesting to hear how she's been able to do that.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to kind of get her on record saying, is because there'll be a lot of people who think about it. It's like, oh, can I do it? Is it possible? But yeah, I mean, she's doing it, and we want to hear her story because it's quite a unique story, and hopefully it'll inspire other people who are maybe at dental school, who are aspiring athletes who want to, play international sport, maybe go to Olympics, Paralympics, whatever it is. Hopefully this can give them a little bit of confidence that actually you can do it, because if you can speak to the universities and have a conversation, then it could be possible. But it would be great to hear like how she managed to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So let's go. Hey everyone, save the date. The UK Sports Dentistry Association's second conference is happening on Friday the 12th of September at the Voco Hotel in Manchester. And guess what? It's not just about teeth. We're combining cutting-edge sports dentistry talks with the thrill of live sport. Right after the conference, we're heading to Emirates Old Trafford for the England vs South Africa T20 International. Expect a day packed with expert speakers, athlete Q&A sessions, and plenty of time for networking with dentists, sports pros, and athletes alike. Whether you're in dentistry or passionate about sport, this is a day you won't want to miss. Tickets are live now at sportsdentistryuk.com. Grab yours and join us for an unforgettable day. So I'd like to give a big warm welcome to the Sports Dentistry podcast this week to Abtaha Maqsood. I think that wasn't bad. Pronunciation's getting on point.
It took you about 10 efforts off air to get that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not
No,
meant
that was
to be.
perfect. Thank you.
You're not meant to be telling these secrets. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we've done about 10 episodes so far, and a lot of it's been sports dentists that are maybe just doing dentistry at the moment, but we're in a unique situation that we've got someone that's in the dental profession but is also an athlete as well. So this is going to be a really interesting conversation. For people that like myself that maybe don't know a lot of your background, do you want to give us just a little bit of an intro into yourself, into your sport, and how you got into the dental profession and things like that?
Yeah, so I am a professional cricketer now. I have been playing cricket since I was pretty young. I started, well, just in the garden with my brothers and my dad, and then found a club in Glasgow called Pollock Cricket Club when I was about 11, 12-ish. And then from there, moved on to the Scotland under-17s women's team. When I was about 12, I think I made my debut. And then 2 years later, made my debut for the actual Scotland women's team, which was amazing. And then went away, did a whole load of stuff with them, did a whole load of World Cup qualifiers, went to like Thailand, Sri Lanka, places like that, which was so cool. And then a few years ago, got called up to play in the 100 tournament. Don't know how much you know about that one, but it was a pretty big franchise tournament in England. Started up, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago now. And I managed to get into the Birmingham Phoenix team, which was amazing. It was the first time I was ever paid to play cricket. And it was the first time I thought, yeah, I could potentially become a professional cricketer here. That's really cool. And then from there, got a professional contract at Sunrisers, which is a team down in London. And I'm now currently playing for Essex in their first fully professional women's side. So that's a quick rundown of my cricket stuff. But I guess with the dentistry side of things, I have completed 3 years of dental school. But obviously with professional cricket and moving down to London, I've had to put that on pause for a few years. But I have done 3 years, so I am aware of the profession.
You made your Scotland debut at 14 years old? Your national team debut, is that at 14 years old?
Yes, it was 14, pretty young, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So obviously in that time you've been in the setup from 14 all the way up to through school and into university. So what university were you doing, or were you doing dentistry at? So you've done 3 years, and how did that conversation come about where you had to make that decision between carrying on the dentistry or taking a pause or taking a sabbatical? So can you just talk us through kind of your first few years of university?
Yeah, so I started at Glasgow Uni. So I actually didn't want to do dentistry to begin with. I always wanted to become a doctor. it was kind of like I never really thought of anything else. I was always want to become a doctor, but then didn't actually get in for that first year. I had to take a gap year. And then that's when I started thinking about dentistry a little bit more and actually thought it was a really good career path. So decided to do that. First few years of dental school, I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I think one thing that was tough was obviously juggling both cricket and dentistry at the same time. At that time, I obviously wasn't professional, but I was still playing international cricket. So obviously had to go away for tours and stuff like that, and obviously training quite a lot. So I did find that difficult, especially in the first couple years where, I mean, you probably remember it's just like lectures after lectures, just constantly 9 to 5, just sitting in a lecture theatre. So it was always tough to kind of juggle both things at the same time. But I actually really enjoyed uni life. And I was in Glasgow as well. So I was staying at home, had all the support of my family. Financially, it was good as well, being able to stay at home and then also play cricket as well on the side. So yeah, really enjoyed myself. But obviously, yeah, I did have to make that decision. I think it was around like halfway through second year when I first got called up for Birmingham Phoenix. But this was during when COVID first hit. So that was when things started to change a lot with the dentistry scene, obviously. We weren't really allowed to go into uni much, obviously. We couldn't do much clinical work. We did manage to finish second year, did all our exams online. And then with third year, obviously with the 100 having to be cancelled as well because of COVID, I then got a contract for the next year. So I did manage to do half of third year and then had to kind of make a decision about, okay, right, what do I want to do now? Like, do I want to go away and play in the 100 or do I want to like stay and complete uni? Luckily, uni gave me a few weeks off to kind of go away and just play in the 100 for that 1 month. So I managed to complete third year as well. But because obviously with COVID, we didn't have much clinical experience, so we had to do third year again. So it was a whole thing. It was a lot going on round about that time. But I managed to complete all 3 years, and then that's when I finally got called up to play down south in London and get my first full-time professional contract. This was after I'd completed third year. So that was when I actually really had to make a decision and actually talk to my parents and have loads of conversations with university, with a lot of trusted people and stuff to try and figure out, right, what is it that I actually want to do? And I think ultimately the biggest thing that helped me with my decision was that cricket is kind of now when I'm young and I'm fit and I'm healthy, whereas uni I can always come back to, and it might have to mean that I would have to start again at some point, but it is something I can do later on in my life, whereas cricket probably isn't. So that was probably the main thing that kind of helped me with that decision. But yeah, it was a tough ask for my mum, to be fair, to talk to her and tell her, yeah, I think I want to take a few years out and actually really pursue this. But she's been great. Everyone's been really supportive. But yeah, a lot of tough conversations, but I'm glad that I've made the decision.
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that, isn't there? The first part is your family obviously wanting you to do the best for you, and their concerns may be that, you know, cricket at the moment, especially in the women's game, well, it is better now, but at that time, maybe the pay, how is that going to work? Are you going to be able to come back to the university? So it's really good that you managed to have that conversation and they were very supportive of it. When you talk to the university about taking time out, so where is that left you now? So have they said that you can come back within a set period of time to do the final 2 years? Or would you, like you said, would you have to start all again? So where does that leave you at the moment with that side of things?
Yeah, so they actually initially just gave me 1 year because I only had a 1-year contract with Sunrisers. And then I think it was about halfway through that season, I performed pretty well and they offered me another 2-year contract. And that's when I had to go back to uni and ask them if there was anything else they could do for me. And to be fair, they were pretty helpful and gave me another 2 years. So this will be the third year of me taking that sabbatical. So there's a lot of decisions to be made now, I think. Obviously, with this, I'm meant to go back in, I think, August time now. So yeah, lots of decisions to be made there, but they were actually fairly helpful. At first, I did find it difficult to talk to them and have conversations surrounding this sort of topic. just because there wasn't really much leniency. And I can kind of understand it, to be honest. Like, it's such a hands-on degree. Like, you can't just go away and do it online and stuff. Like, it was always going to be difficult for me to live in London and then also do dentistry in Glasgow. But they were pretty good with the whole situation of giving me 3 years out and now expecting me to come back in August. But of course, like, it is still, I still have to make those decisions, especially with cricket going up and up for me and for women's cricket. So it's one of those things where I don't want to miss out on where women's cricket can go, which seems like it's only going up at the moment. So yeah, still have a lot to think about, but they've been pretty good so far, yeah.
So I wouldn't mind going into a wee bit more about cricket. So I don't know a lot about cricket compared to you two guys. But cricket to me was always a summer sport. And Umar, you were brought up in Dundee, and Abtaha, you've been brought up in Glasgow. They're not really renowned for having nice, nice summers. So what was the cricket scene like? Is it something that's coming through from the family? Is it, did your parents play? Did your siblings play? And then back when you first started, what was the opportunities? Like, you hear a lot of athletes that go on. School is a big development process for them, but I'm presuming the schools maybe in Scotland, cricket maybe wouldn't be a great development opportunity. Is it mainly the clubs where you get the development there, or what's the scene like?
Yeah, I think for me it was really big in my family. So obviously both my parents are from Pakistan and they absolutely love their cricket. My dad in particular loves it. So he's the one who kind of got us into cricket in the first place. But I didn't really play much in school. I don't think it was huge in Scottish schools. I don't know if you've got similar experiences, but for me it was just club level was where I kind of learned my craft. It wasn't really school. So luckily for me, like there wasn't many women's teams in Glasgow. There was only one actually. But there is plenty of men's teams in Glasgow where I kind of just got stuck in and played with the boys at junior level. And I was the only girl. So that's kind of where I learned most of my cricket was at Pollock Cricket Club. But yeah, my main influences were definitely my dad. Like, he was the one who kind of taught me how to hold a bat, taught me how to bowl properly. So yeah, he was the reason why I got into cricket in the first place.
Were they quite open? Do you play? I know in some sports they get to a certain age and they separate. Maybe that's more like contact sports where things get a little bit more physical, but with the men's clubs, were they very open for you getting involved and getting playing?
Yeah, no, definitely. Pollock were great with that, especially the coaches. Like, they helped me out so much. I played pretty much all my junior cricket at Pollock and I really enjoyed it. It was tough in the sense that I sometimes didn't feel fully welcomed by the players, like the young boys. Like, it was always going to be like that if I was the only girl. Like, I didn't fully feel like it sometimes was quite a daunting experience being around a whole load of boys who didn't really talk to me much. And that part was tough. But luckily for me, I had my brother around. So he played at Pollock as well with me. And he's only 2 years older than me. So he played in most of the teams that I played in. So that really helped. But yeah, the coaches were brilliant. Like, they made the experience and the whole atmosphere so much nicer for me and really helped me out and taught me so much of what I know now. So yeah, they were really welcoming. I really enjoyed my time at Pollock.
And it's not just cricket that you excel at, is it? Because you've also got a black belt in Taekwondo, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I think I was about 11 when I got that. But yeah, I was doing Taekwondo since I was about 5 or 6. Like, my parents were big with that sort of thing. My mum in particular, she was like, you need to learn how to defend yourself. So
Wow.
me and my brothers and my little sister all did Taekwondo. And I think we all got black belts except for my little sister, actually. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing that up until and then obviously like cricket took over, but I did really enjoy Taekwondo.
And that obviously led you to be one of the flag bearers at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in 2014, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That was an insane experience. I didn't really realise how cool an experience that was until I actually was doing it. I just kind of, I didn't really think it was cool until I saw how many people were there watching and all the organisation that went through all of that sort of thing. It was insane. It was incredible. And looking back at it now, I just can't believe I did something like that, and I would love to do it again. But yeah, I was pretty young at the time as well. I was only 15, or 14 or 15. So yeah, amazing experience.
I mean, that's incredible to not just have a black belt taekwondo, but also to be a flag bearer in such a prestigious event. How did that come about? Were you approached by Commonwealth Games, or was it a Scotland thing, or how did that conversation come about?
I don't really remember. I think it totally came out of the blue. I think somebody just nominated me for it. I still don't really know who it was, but someone nominated me, and then I got called up from the Commonwealth Games, got an email or something like that, and they just invited me for like a meeting to see if I was keen. And then yeah, it just kind of kicked off from there. But I still really, it totally came out of the blue.
God, that's
Yeah,
a cool experience.
yeah, it's so cool. Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games. It was a great event. I was working at it at the boxing, and the city just took over. So I'm sure it was a great experience for that time. And that was when you were about 14, 15. So this is when you started playing for Scotland in the cricket as well at the senior level. At what stage did you feel, this is, I'm pretty good here. This is something I could maybe really, really go for? Was there a turning point as you were starting to get picked in these teams, or was it just you went with the flow, or was there a moment in time where you're
Yeah,
thinking, actually, I can really give this a go?
yeah, no, I think for me, for the most part, I was just going with the flow. I always thought cricket was just a glorified hobby, to be honest. I never thought I would make it. I never thought I would become a professional cricketer. That was never on the agenda at all. When I was playing for Scotland, I still play for Scotland, but back when I was starting up with Scotland, not once did I think this would go anywhere. I just thought, right, okay, I'll just keep, trying to get into the team for Scotland and try and make it that way. But obviously we didn't have any contracts at Cricket Scotland at the time. To be honest, like even down in England, like there was no domestic contracts like there are now. So if you wanted to become a professional cricketer as a female, you would have to play for England or play for Australia or play for India, these big teams. And obviously I was like, there's no way I can do that. So it was just never on the cards for me. It wasn't until I played in that very first 100 for Birmingham Phoenix was when I thought that I could potentially do this, but I still was like, no, I would have to move to England. Like, there's no way I can do this while I live in Scotland and do dentistry at the same time. But that was the first time that I thought I could do it, but also I think I wanted to do it. Like, once I actually experienced it and saw what it was like, especially the 100, which was absolutely insane. Like, the experience was probably one of the best experiences of my life, was that first ever 100, playing in front of about like 15,000 people at Edgbaston in that first game. It was such an amazing experience for me. And I was quite young as well at the time. I was only 21 and got thrust into that life really quickly. And then also all the media around it was amazing. Like, the amount of interviews that I had to do and all these appearances and stuff, like it seemed like such an incredible life, was just kind of, traveling about, playing cricket, doing what you love and inspiring people. Like, the amount of children that were in the crowds who were so excited to meet you was just so nice to see. And it really did seem like we were inspiring a new generation. So that's when I was like, whether or not I do become a professional cricketer, I don't know, but it is something that I think I would want to do. So it was that first 100 that I thought, yeah, this could be a turning point here. And yeah, it was one of the best experiences of my life, I thought.
Yeah, because when you signed for Birmingham Phoenix, you kind of overnight became you became a sensation, I think, for a few reasons. One reason is Scottish cricketer, but you're obviously one of the main ladies wearing hijab, playing professional sport in the limelight. And it was great to see just how much publicity you were getting around that. And I think the drive with the 100, especially with families and kids, and my daughter loves you, you know that already. The inspiration that the girls in the 100 have kind of given the younger generation. Having a daughter myself has been incredible. That must have gone overnight from being, relatively well known in Scotland because you'd been playing well here, but then all of a sudden having all this media attention on a massive franchise, which is now worth billions now, right? Is that how it felt? Kind of was this like an overnight kind of, oh my God, what's happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first game that I played, it was at Edgbaston. We didn't do very well. We lost. I think I only bowled 5 balls or something. Like it was quite an underwhelming experience, that first game, if I'm being totally honest. But it was so cool to like walk out and see all the massive crowd. But after the game, nothing really came of it. Like it was still pretty normal. And then it was actually the second game that we played at Old Trafford against Manchester, where I bowled pretty well, got a couple wickets. We won the game. It was a really good game. And I remember getting my phone back at the end of that game, and it was absolutely blowing up. Like it had frozen, like the amount of notifications that I had. Like it was very much like an overnight thing where I looked at my phone and I had like thousands of new followers on Instagram. I had loads on Twitter. I had so many people trying to DM me and stuff. It was just crazy, absolutely crazy after that second game. And it only went up and up from there. And then, the second 100 as well was similar, where I had a lot of media appearances and stuff to do. And that really helped with my followers as well. Like, yeah, like you said, totally like an overnight sensation sort of thing. And it was something that I wasn't expecting at all. And again, like I said, I was really young as well, really just thrust into the limelight a little bit. But it was quite an amazing experience to kind of see that actually you can go away, do something that you absolutely love doing and inspire loads of people from it as well. So yeah, it was such an amazing experience for me.
I'm going to sound like a complete novice here, but just can we explain just the 100 a little bit more? So the 100, is that just 50 overs each? Is that what the 100 is?
No, so
No.
it's like this
Am I
totally
completely
different
off?
format. No. No.
We're still talking about cricket though, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. It is actually a totally different format of the game. It confused a lot of cricket lovers as well, to be fair. But it's basically just each team has 100 balls to face each, and you just want to score as many runs as possible.
And the 100, is this just UK, or is this it's a UK?
Just the UK, yeah, just in England.
How many teams would then be involved? Is there?
It's 8 teams at the moment down in
8
England.
teams. And do you play everybody? Well, is it like a league format, or what way does the competition work?
Yeah, you play everyone once, except from like your rival team. You play twice, and then it goes on to the eliminators and the finals.
And then who's your rival team? How does that develop?
For Phoenix, who was it? Trent, I think. Trent Rockets. So it was whoever was closest to you.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Birmingham and Nottingham.
Nottingham, yeah. The great thing about the 100, actually, to be fair to it, is that the men and the women play on the same day. So is that right, isn't it? Yeah. So the women usually play first. So the same teams play. So say if it's the Phoenix against the Trent Rockets, the women will play first and then the men will play directly after in the same ground. So that's what's helped the women's status. Certainly people can say what they want about the 100, but for the women in particular, I think it's completely changed, isn't it? The trajectory of what you guys can achieve in terms of obviously pay, but being able to play franchise cricket all over the world as well.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think it's not done amazingly for the men's game, but for the women's game, it's totally transformed it in England anyway. I think from then on, we started to get more and more full-time professional contracts in the domestic setup as well. Obviously, like pay-wise, it's been really good. It's not quite equal pay for the men and women, which is pretty ridiculous, to be fair, considering we're playing for the same team and doing the same thing, but it is getting better and better. And yeah, like financially, it was amazing. Like the opportunities that we got after it was so good. It increased the visibility of women's cricket massively because of the double header situation, and also every game was either on Sky Sports or BBC. So it was free to air for a lot of people as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of critics when it comes to the 100, but for me, for the women's game, like, it's done an amazing job, and it's only getting better and better, to be honest. So yeah, I would recommend it for anyone who doesn't really watch cricket. It's quite a fast-paced version of it, so you won't be bored watching it for sure. So I would recommend it,
Yes,
especially the women's game. It's really quite fun.
so 100 balls, it's shorter than T20. T20 would be 120 balls, would it? Six per
Yes.
over, yeah.
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 That's very good.
Yeah.
And then the teams that are involved, are they separate than the clubs? No, there's like, we're going to go to Lancashire Cricket Club and stuff. Are they affiliated with the clubs, or are they separate teams? Or-
So they are separate, but they can. So for example, like, there's Lancashire as the county, which is like the club, but it's kind of affiliated to Manchester Originals, which is the 100 team. So a lot of the players from Lancashire would play in Manchester, but it is meant to be fairly separate from the counties.
Is that maybe why there's been some resistance, because maybe the traditional clubs and stuff maybe feel a wee bit threatened by this new, more exciting version that's maybe catching people's eyes a bit more?
Yeah, maybe. I think maybe not threatened, but I think it does kind of take away from the county stuff, especially for the men, because obviously they've had the Vitality Blast, which is the big T20 competition down south for men, which was fairly big at the time, but then obviously the 100 kind of took over and took all the money. So I think that was probably one of the main problems when it came to the 100. But for the women, like I said, there was nothing really there for us before the 100 came about. So it's only been a good thing for the women's game. But I can imagine why some of the men or the traditional kind of cricket fans don't really enjoy the 100.
Well, the good thing is this year, the second UK Sports Density Conference is actually in Manchester. We're holding it in Manchester, and we're dovetailing it with the T20 International with England and South Africa. People like John who've never been to watch a cricket match, and all the other delegates are going to come on. What would you say to them? So they're going to, they don't really know what to expect. So it's a Friday night light, at Old Trafford. Hopefully it doesn't rain in Manchester, because it's quite well known for that. For the delegates, what should they expect?
Oh, I mean, is that Old Trafford, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good atmosphere there. I've always really enjoyed playing there. Obviously, that was when that was the 100 game that really kicked things off for me when I played at Old Trafford. So I love playing there. But yeah, the atmosphere will be great. If it's under lights as well, it's always good in the evening time to watch a T20. England versus South Africa, did you say? Yeah, both amazing teams. It's going to be high scoring probably. You're just going to have a great time, to be honest. There's going to be balls flying about everywhere. So just watch out for that. But yeah, I think you're going to have a great time watching that, especially if you've never watched the game before.
Yeah, excited to take these guys. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. So just what would be your normal training week? What way does that look?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different depending on if it's winter time or during the season, during summer. But with winter, it's usually we train about 4 times a week, and then gym and S&C stuff on top of that. So probably train about 4 or 5 hours, 4 times a week. And then when it comes to summer, it's just super hectic. It's just matches every, probably 2 games a week at least. So that's when we train much less, just because we need to recover and prioritize recovery and rest, especially for like seam bowlers, for example, fast bowlers who really need the rest after they bowl like 10 overs or 20 overs a week. But yeah, so we don't really train as much during summer, but yeah, during the winter it is very much we're indoors. All we have to do is train, get really fit, hit the gym, do a whole load of S&C stuff. But then when it comes to summer, it is very much just performance based and trying to get through the season.
We can touch a little bit on maybe oral health and nutrition. So obviously this being a sports density podcast is a big thing we talk about with oral health and working with nutritionists. And talk us through what a typical let's talk through a typical day or a typical week in terms of how you rehydrate, what you eat. Are you told what to eat on what you shouldn't eat? When we talk about from a dental point of view, we're talking about complex carbohydrates and how we should limit them, but then you need to be well
Yeah.
fueled. So let's give us a bit of an insight from being a professional athlete. What goes through your daily or weekly routine?
Yeah, I think nutrition wise, we aren't really told what to eat or anything. It is fairly relaxed, but we are told, I think one thing that's really important is that we have to eat a lot. I think that's the most important thing, especially during the season when you're using up so much energy. That's one of the most important things about recovery is making sure that you get good protein in there and carbs in there as well to make sure you regain all of that energy. But yeah, it's something that we don't really, they don't tell us exactly what to eat and stuff. There's a level of trust there that we're not going to be eating fast food and all that sort of thing and eating chocolates all the time. But yeah, the most important thing is that we make sure we refuel really well, because that does help with recovery. I think in terms of rehydration, we do take a lot of electrolytes, especially throughout games, especially when it's hot. So I was just in Pakistan like a month ago and it was absolutely boiling there. And we did end up going through, I think it's meant to be like you can't have more than 4 tabs a day. I think I was maybe going through a few more than them. But yeah, it is important that you take those electrolytes and rehydrate as much as possible throughout the game, especially when it's hot. But other than that, like they are fairly relaxed with it and they do trust us that we don't eat badly.
And would you fuel for the game and fuel during the game apart from the electric lights? Would you have is there any sort of routine you have for that?
For me, I think I struggle to fuel before a game. I do get a little bit nervous, and I think that's very similar for a lot of athletes, to be fair. But one thing that I've started having is this carb powder, which is also electrolytes, which kind of helps with refueling or during the game in particular, especially when I haven't really fueled well enough beforehand. So that's a really good powder that you get where it's both carbs and electrolytes put together. So that's something that we've kind of started up. I don't really have that as much during when I'm playing in the UK, but when I'm away, like Pakistan, for example, I had it quite a lot just because I can get quite anxious before a game. And I think that, like I said, it's similar for so many professional athletes to feel that way. So if you have like a quick shortcut right before a game or during the game, that's really quite helpful as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting because like part of the conversation we're going to have in Manchester is about oral health and performance and about nutrition, and with a nutritionist coming that works with different sports. I was having a chat with him and I was quite taken back whenever he explained that when he works with like professional cyclists and they're doing like a 6 hour cycle, they're advising them to take like a carbohydrate, some sort of form of carbohydrate, whether that's a sachet or a drink every 20 minutes. And then if we're looking at it from an oral health point of view, we're looking at, well, anytime you take sugar and stuff, it takes your mouth 20 minutes to get that pH back to a healthy level where it won't
Yeah.
cause damage to your teeth. But then in that scenario with the cyclist, as soon as it gets back to a healthy pH, they're dropping it again by taking it. So is there any awareness, like you've been a little bit exposed with your 3 years as a dental student, but is there any awareness about maybe using some sort of strategies to prevent any negative impact, like fluoride mouthwash, or maybe drinking them carbohydrate drinks in a way which, they're only in the mouth for a short time. I know at one stage, I'm not sure, I don't hear as much of it now, but carbohydrate rinsing was something that was being used by endurance athletes where they didn't actually drink the carbohydrate, they would just rinse it around the mouth and then
Right.
spit it out. I'm not sure if you've come across that, or is that something, but just from like your own, like when you're in them hot environments and you're maybe drinking them carbohydrate drinks a little bit more regularly, um, is that you're just fueling for performance. You're not really putting a plan in place.
Yeah, no, I've actually not really thought about that, to be fair, which is pretty bad for me. I probably should have thought about it. But Yeah, to be honest, when I have those drinks or those little sachets or whatever, I'm usually just like totally out of it. Like just really hot, really sweaty, just give me a drink sort of vibe. So I don't really think about it that much. But it was interesting when you were saying all of that. It was all kind of coming back to me from like uni days. Like, yeah, okay, wait 20 minutes and then, the pH goes back to normal and stuff. And I was remembering the little curve that they showed us and stuff. I can't remember. Was it the
David Scar.
Stefan
Stefan
Curve,
curve?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still up there.
yeah,
Still up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like so even the likes of chewing sugar-free gum and stuff. I know some athletes chew on things. I think that's maybe more of a nervous. It could be an anxiety thing where it's like a common habit for them. But it's interesting to hear. It's interesting to hear your nutrition plan, especially it's so topical for what we're going to be doing in Manchester as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, so the season's mainly the summer season then, in England runs.
Yeah. Yeah,
When
yeah.
does it kick off?
We can't play during the winter. It's way too cold, too rainy.
And then do you play cricket during the winter? Is there a way where like are you able to go and play for other teams? Is that like
Yes.
that's like an off season window kind of thing? Is it?
Yeah, so a lot of our girls actually do go away, usually to Australia or New Zealand is quite popular. I haven't actually done that. I quite like having the off season just because I feel like I need time to kind of like rest and recover, especially when it comes to Scotland stuff as well. So obviously I'm really busy throughout the English summer, but then Scotland stuff just happens literally any time. So for example, we went to Pakistan right before the season started. We very regularly go away during the winter just because like if we can't play in Scotland, we'll just go somewhere else, usually like Dubai or Abu Dhabi or somewhere. So the Scottish season is very much like all year round. So I quite like having that little off season during the winter, try and get as much time to myself and with my family as possible, because that's obviously just as important as training and playing matches.
So you'd prefer to be in the Glasgow winter than off somewhere warm like Australia? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, weird, isn't it? But I think
Yeah.
just because I'm away so much, I just sometimes
Yeah.
feel like I need to be at home.
Yeah. And when you're away for weeks at a time. A lot of the tournaments that
Yeah.
you go away with Scotland, you're doing qualifying tournaments in Dubai or Thailand or whatever, South Africa, wherever you guys are going. So where's the best place that you have traveled to play?
Oh, the best place. I think that very first World Cup qualifier that I went to in Thailand was pretty cool. It was the first time that I went away with Scotland properly for, I think it was maybe like 3.5 weeks. And I was really stressed about it. I was really scared. I was only 15. I didn't really know the squad that well. And then I didn't know that my dad was going to come, but he surprised me like a week into the tour, which was amazing. So like that whole experience was so good, and we had amazing support there as well. Literally, I think almost everyone's parents or family members came. So yeah, I think that was really cool. And I had never been to Thailand either, so that's it's such an amazing country. So it was really nice to kind of see that as well. But also playing in Pakistan recently was really cool as well. Obviously, it's my home country. I've never played there before. I hadn't been since I was about 17, 18. So it was really nice to go back there again. Also in Lahore, where all my family stays. So it was nice to see everyone there as well. But yeah, playing cricket in my parents' home country, that was in home city, was really quite cool.
I think it's amazing that you've had the opportunity to pause your dental career, dental studies, to play professional sport, because many of us dentists who have an interest in sport will say we're failed athletes, or we had to make a decision at university, which I had to do. And I remember having that chat with my dad, and he was just saying, "No, son, you should finish university." And I didn't want to do dentistry anyway. And initially, I wanted to do physiotherapy, just like you said, you want to do something different. I wanted to do physiotherapy, but then my dad said to me when I was in high school, he's like, "If you apply for dentistry and you get in, then I'll pay for your gap year trip to Australia." And I'm
Oh,
16
really?
years old. I was 16 years old, 17 years old. And I said, "You'll pay for it?" He said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "If you apply for dentistry and you get in, I'll pay for everything for Australia." And I was like, "Yep, okay." So
It's
my
brilliant.
heart was never really in dentistry because my dad
Yeah.
dangled this carrot, right?
Yeah.
But then, when I look at it now, and I think, I'm able to amalgamate dentistry with sports, and John and I have been doing quite a lot of work in that, and this is where the podcast has come out. But we've got to take our hats off to people like yourself who had the bottle to do it, to make that decision, because, like you say, being an athlete is a short career, and you're in a prime position where essentially in the field that you're in, there's still lots of elevation to happen. So for someone listening out there who is very good at sport, whatever sport that might be, and they're at university and they have to make a decision, what sort of advice would you give to that individual about approaching it with the university? Because you've done it. So what do you think they have to do?
Oh, it's a really good question. I think for me, it was a little bit easier because things were kind of, well, not handed to me, but like I got given a professional contract while I was at uni. So it wasn't like I decided, right, okay, I don't want to do uni anymore. I want to go away and try and pursue this. It was kind of given to me first, and then I had to make the decision. So that was helpful. So I think it's tough to kind of give advice because I totally understand. Like, for example, whenever I talk to my mum about this, like I totally understand where she's coming from. Like, she wants me to come back. She wants me to finish my degree. It's a stable career. She's like, you'll be great financially. Like, you can plan your life around dentistry. It's so much easier than cricket. I totally understand all those things, but really at the end of the day, it is about what you're going to regret least, if you know what I mean. So when I think about it, I think, right, okay, let's say I decide I want to come back, I'm going to do dentistry, means I probably won't go back to professional cricket after this because things are going so quickly. There probably won't be a space for me again. Or I could keep doing professional cricket, not go back to dentistry, and hopefully have a pretty good cricket career. So which one of those am I going to regret more? And I would definitely, I think, regret not doing cricket when I know that things are looking good, things are looking up. Looks like women's cricket is only going up and up. Whereas with dentistry, like I said, like I can always go back to it. And if that means I have to start all over again, like so be it. But at the end of the day, you need to know what's most important to you and what you're going to regret the least. And I think for me, cricket has always been something that I've enjoyed more. So it was kind of a no-brainer decision when I got given a professional contract. I was like, well, got to take it.
What was the harder conversation? The conversation with the university or the conversation with your parents?
Definitely the conversation with my mum specifically was pretty difficult. I think my dad, I mean, he loves cricket, so he's really happy with where I'm at. But I think the conversation with the university was just kind of like getting all the facts and getting all the information and trying to figure out what's best for me. Whereas with my mum, it was like, well, I think this is what I want to do, and I hope you can get on board with it. And it took her a little while, but she's definitely on board now. She's very supportive.
So are you still going with the flow in cricket, or are you now starting to maybe set yourself targets or goals, or is there anything that you've decided, well, this is what I really want to achieve?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm going with the flow now. I think it is more like I want to try and be the best cricketer that I can be. I'm so lucky that I've got this platform now that I can really excel from here. Hopefully, if things go in the right direction, and I've got lots of ambitions. Like I've always been quite an ambitious person, even when I was younger. I was quite ambitious when it came to my academic life and stuff as well, which is why I wanted to be a doctor, be a dentist as well. So like I do have these ambitions, and it isn't like I said a glorified hobby anymore. It's definitely my job. It's a profession. I'm a pro cricketer, and I'm so lucky to be here. So I only want to try my best to be the best cricketer I can possibly be now.
What's it like rubbing shoulders with the best players in the world? Like, luckily, in the Scotland team, you arguably have two of the best in the Bryce sisters, but with your club cricket from girls playing from all over the world. It must be incredible knowing that you're rubbing shoulders in the dressing room with these amazing athletes. How does that feel?
Yeah. It's incredible, honestly. Like you said, like obviously playing with the Bryce sisters has been amazing and I've learned a lot from them. But playing, I think it was the second or third 100, I can't remember now. I think it was the third 100. I was sat next to Elise Perry in the changing room. So that was pretty cool. Obviously playing cricket with her and learning so much from her and just the way that she goes about doing things. And she's obviously one of the best, if not the best, female cricketers of all time. So to be able to not only play in the same team as her, but just sit right next to her in the changing room was an absolutely surreal experience. So yeah, it's been so cool, and I just hope I can do it more and more because the amount that I learn from these people is amazing.
Yeah, I think Elisa also played soccer for Australia as well, didn't she? So she played soccer for Australia and cricket. And I think it comes to dentistry and why we're doing this podcast is that we can learn from people in our field. They've given us nuggets of information that we can take to practice. And I think when you're training and you're playing with these athletes, you're learning off them and they're learning off you as well. So it's really good platform to have. And you have to be open-minded to be able to accept that there are things that you may do that might be different to what somebody else does, but there's different ways to skin a cat. So you need to be able to take on board positive criticism, I suppose. But being in the limelight, your mistakes, the mistakes are live and they happen and they're out in the world. Whereas in dentistry, if you do a filling or something, you're like, oh, I've got open contact or something like that happens. You're like, well, there's nobody's going to see it, but you're in the public image. People so quick to be keyboard warriors. That must be quite stressful as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially nowadays where the visibility of women's cricket has increased so much, specifically this year where we've gone over to our counties now. Obviously last year it was more like regions. So we were affiliated to counties, but it was a few counties put together, whereas now it's just one county. So I'm with Essex. So now suddenly there's so many more people watching the streams of all of our games. We're getting loads more like followers on Instagram and a lot more DMs and stuff. And with the good stuff comes the bad stuff as well, which is a shame. But it's always tough because obviously there's going to be lots of betting on sport and stuff as well. So usually it comes from a place of they've lost a bet and they just want to attack us because we're the reason that they've lost that bet. So that does happen quite a lot, especially now that visibility has increased. But it's one of those things that I feel like I've had it quite a lot in the past that it just doesn't really faze me too much anymore. I do remember that first year of the 100, like I said, like there was so many followers, so many new people trying to contact me, a lot of DMs. And like I said, with the good stuff came bad as well. And there was quite a few pretty terrible messages that I got as well. And specifically like racist stuff as well, which wasn't great. Because obviously I was the first hijab wearing professional cricketer in the UK. So that and obviously inspired loads of people, but also made a lot of people very angry for some reason. So I got a lot of that, but because I got a lot of that, I think it's kind of like helped me kind of deal with the tough stuff now. So now it just doesn't faze me at all. Now I'm just like, well, you can say whatever you like. Now it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it does put a lot of pressure on you now that there's a lot more people watching, but it's only a good thing, to be honest. Like, it only motivates me to be better.
And do you have any strategies? Have you developed any strategies that maybe help you deal with it? Like you spoke earlier about when you were young and some of the boys in the boys club weren't overly nice to you. Them sort of experience, did they give you maybe that sort of hard edge or experience that you're able to deal with stuff a little bit better now? Or is there certain strategies to maybe just not look at social media or like what types is it? Have you developed anything? Like I'm thinking like if somebody else is maybe listening to this and they're experiencing that, is there maybe some tips they can take from you and how you've been able to approach it?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can do with social media now, which is pretty good, where you can limit the people who comment on your photos or DM you and stuff. there's a specific company that has an algorithm where they do something with your Instagram, and all negative comments and negative words and stuff, they just don't show up anymore. So they do that a lot with a lot of sports people. They were there at the World Cup last year trying to sort it all out for all of us. So that's been really helpful as well, where you just don't see those comments, which is great.
I need to get that. I need to get that for my dental clinic so I don't get all the negative reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really handy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So like little things like that do really help. But yeah, like I said, like I've had fairly bad experiences in the past, which has kind of helped me kind of deal with it now. It's so important to have like a supportive or support network around you. So like my brother, for example, has been really good with that, where we sometimes just go through some comments and just laugh at them, which has really helped. There's a lot of different things that you can do now to kind of make things a little bit easier on social media.
I suppose that's just part and parcel of being in the limelight, of being an elite sport nowadays. With, as you said, with all the good stuff social media can bring and awareness on sport, there's also that darker side to it as well.
Yeah.
And like it's just part and parcel of being an elite athlete. Probably it's the same as way as you maybe have to cope with, getting down because you maybe didn't perform as well as you did. And you need sort of strategies how you can turn that around. I suppose it's very similar possibly to that, just making sure that it doesn't affect you and that you can move on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it is important. But like I said, it actually does motivate me quite a bit as well. When I know that I've had a bad game and then somebody tells me I've had a bad game, I'm like, okay, great. I need to be better next game.
Yeah. But it's the pressure you put on yourself, isn't it? And same as clinical dentistry, there's pressure is there to always have to perform. Like we're the same. Every patient, you have to give them 100%. You have to be the top of your game every single time. And if something doesn't go quite right, you know, okay, what went wrong and how do you want to improve it? But the drive has to come from within. You know, if you want to be better, then you have to keep pushing the boundaries. So you're inevitably going to make some mistakes here and there. But as long as you can learn from that quickly, you don't make the same mistake twice. And that's how you become a better clinician. It's how you become a better athlete. It's how you become a better parent, you know, a better husband, John, obviously. So,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Hope you're saying that in the mirror.
Yeah, but no, it's important though, right? It's self-pressure.
Yeah.
It's a self-pressure, but yeah. No, that's it's really interesting to hear that you said actually quite a lot of this negative stuff you were getting is actually from betting and from people who are annoyed because the bet didn't go through, or they obviously didn't win because whatever happened. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's a real problem actually.
Yeah.
And specifically this year it's increased quite a lot just because we're now affiliated with counties. So many people are watching, and it's been a genuine problem. But I think it was something like our last game, they recorded maybe like £80,000 was bet on that one game. So it does annoy a lot of people when we lose a game that we should have won. So I get it, but yeah.
Is that bets on winning or losing, or is it lots of in game sort of betting that you see now? I wouldn't really
I
be
think
much
there's
of
a lot of in-game stuff as well. So obviously winning and losing as well, but a lot of in-game stuff. So they've had to kick a few people out of our game just because our live stream is there's a bit of a lag in the live stream. So they're just on the phone talking to people saying, right, okay, so there was a no ball this next ball, so just bet on that. Which is absolutely crazy, like how many people they've had to kick out because of that, which has massively increased since last year. So
it's spot fixing, isn't it? That's what it is. Because when you go to ICC events, like when I went to World Cup, they were sat us all down. They've probably changed it now as well. But if anybody contacts you, if there's somebody unusual who's in the lift with you and tries to make conversation, is just asking you, oh, what does the pitch look like today? Just don't engage in them, because they've got very smart ways of trying to get information out of you. And it's not until they show you and tell you about that, especially at ICC events, you've got to be super vigilant and aware of what's happening, right? And who you're talking to. Because you think you're talking to your mate, you might say to me, because I might say to you, oh, Abtaha, how's it going? Like, you guys are playing tomorrow, what's the team and stuff like that. As a friend, you would trust me, but, you know, I could go and bet on that or something, right? So you have to be very, very careful who you give information to.
Yeah, so careful. And we get a lot of education about that as well now. Before every single ICC tournament, we always get anti-corruption education just beforehand. It's really boring to go through, but actually so important because you're right, like they are very smart with it, the way that they ask the questions. So yeah, very crazy that's been happening so much this year.
It's really interesting, like how it has an impact on the actual players. Do you know, like
Yeah.
you see a lot of people betting and stuff, but you don't actually, and I didn't actually think it would actually work its way down to the actual players. Do you know, and
Yeah.
how it's been able to like have an influence, like and not so much have an influence, but like it's obviously there in your environment. Do you know, so it's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
We've had a really good conversation. I think we've took up quite a lot of your time. We didn't speak a lot of dentistry, I don't think, but
No,
that's fine. That's why we're all in sports dentistry, because we prefer to talk about sport.
Yeah.
no, that's been a fascinating conversation. And I did say to John, I was like, look, there's somebody I think we can get on because there is a bit of dentistry in there, but also a professional athlete, and and just diving into that a little bit more and knowing kind of what you've been going through and how your life changed so quickly, but yet you still think back about your dentistry days, your dental student days, talking about the Stefan curve and things like that. It's quite funny because really we want to be athletes, right? Me and John wants to play hurling professionally. I want to still play cricket. That's why I'm so affiliated with you, with the girls and the guys, Cricket Scotland. So, I love it. And me and John always, chew the fat and talk about sport because we just absolutely love it. And the fact that you're doing something that you love, like hats off to you. I think it's amazing what you're doing, what you continue to do, inspiring the next generation. Like I say, my daughter absolutely adores you, and you've been very kind and given us signed jerseys and things like that. So, like, I certainly wish you all the best. And I know for a fact that while you continue to play, the girls at Cricket Scotland certainly will continue to improve and play in more World Cups, and you go well at Essex. And yeah, really the sky's the limit, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully.
Definitely.
Thank you. Also, I forgot to ask, how's your cricket season going?
My cricket season is I don't play club cricket anymore. So
Oh,
I'm
do
just
you
playing
not?
I'm
Okay.
just playing MCC stuff, but I'm
All right,
actually
He
okay.
just goes for the free trips. He just
yeah.
goes for the free trips. It's like every week.
They're good
I'm going
trips, to be fair.
I'm going to Brazil at the end of the year. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
really?
so
Oh, brilliant.
yeah, I got selected to go to Brazil, so that was a good
That's so
conversation
cool.
to tell my wife when I got selected for that. So that's
Yeah.
I'll need to play some cricket before then, but just playing MCC stuff. I'm
Oh,
very lucky that we'll get to go to Brazil, and there's some great dentists out there who've been in touch about seeing them. But actually, going to a country where, I mean, it's a sport that's growing, and
yeah.
I'll report back when I get back. So
Yeah, let me
yeah,
know. That sounds
yeah,
exciting.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's been. I've really enjoyed that chat. Is there anything this year that you're really looking forward to? Is there a tournament, or is there something coming up that you're really looking forward to this year?
Well, annoyingly, actually, the Scotland women don't actually have anything in the diary this year for the rest of the year, which is pretty terrible considering we've had a pretty good last 12 months. But yeah, we have nothing. We just don't have the money for it, which is a shame. So nothing really to look forward to, unfortunately.
But it's funny though, cricket. Sometimes you'll all of a sudden there'll be somewhere that you need to go, and you'll be going in like 3 weeks, and you'll be away for like 6 weeks.
Yeah,
That's what tends to happen.
yeah,
Um,
especially with Cricket Scotland.
yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah,
we get
yeah,
told things very last minute with the
yeah.
ICC and Cricket Scotland.
Well, that's exactly it, right? So, but at least
Yeah,
at least you got your club season to look forward to for the rest of the summer, and the weather's been absolutely sensational. So hopefully
yeah.
it continues to. Oh, do you know any sun cream brands that John can get hold of? Because this guy needs Factor 100 on a
Oh, really?
on a daily basis. Yeah, yeah. You must know some
That's
sun cream
uh,
sponsors down there somewhere.
yeah. We're looking
Yeah,
for
we
something.
actually do, I think.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have Lifeguard,
Right, very good.
Lifeguard
That's
sun cream and moisturizing cream,
Yeah, well,
which
you
is
need to
pretty
give John
good
the
apparently.
details.
Yeah. I do. I'm big on sun cream, to be fair.
Yeah.
SPF every single day, very important. I've
Do
got
they
like
have
3 different kinds.
do they have SPF 150? Because that's what John needs.
Unfortunately not. You just got to lather up constantly.
Yeah. I remember when I went to it was my first son holiday really when I was 18, and I like factor 50 everywhere, but I didn't realize you had to rub it in, so I was just walking around like a big goat.
Oh, really?
Well, I forgot to do my feet. So I went and fell
Oh
asleep. So I
no.
woke up, my feet were burnt. So I learned a lot of stuff about sun cream with that trip.
To be fair, if you
That's
don't
it.
rub it in, the sun is definitely not getting through that cream to your
Yeah.
hair. So
Yeah.
it's a
But
good hack.
I was getting some very strange looks walking down the street.
I can imagine.
That's brilliant.
Uh, Well, thanks very much for your time, and I am almost certain you've made the right decision. So
Fingers crossed.
there's plenty of time to be sitting in a dental clinic and drilling and
Yeah,
filling.
Yeah.
definitely. But thanks so much for your time, Abtaha. That was brilliant. Loved that.
No, thanks so much for having me. It was really good.
Brilliant. We are delighted to have Ionate as a sponsor for the Sports Dentistry podcast. Are you looking for a water bottle that's built to keep up with your active lifestyle? Look no further than Ionate, the totally leak-proof water bottles with triple lock technology to prevent spills no matter where you're headed. With a simple one-touch opening mechanism, you can sip on the go without hassle. Plus, Ionate's sleek, modern designs are not only functional but can be personalized just for you. Made from high-quality steel, these bottles are easy to clean and best of all, they're sustainable. From 320 mils to 1200 mils, Ionate has the perfect size for you, whether you're just out for a jog or going on a long hike. And it doesn't stop at water bottles. Ionate also has travel mugs and flasks to keep your drinks just right wherever you are. Ionate is the official water bottle supplier to the British and Irish Lions on their tour to Australia this summer, and are the official water bottle supplier to the NFL, so you know you're getting the best. I have been using their bottles for a long time now and cannot recommend them highly enough. So head over to www.ionate.co.uk to get your hands on the best bottles in the business, bar none. Now back to the pod.
Well, that was a great conversation we had with Abadal. Really fascinating to hear about how she had to weigh that up between, does she continue on with her studies? Does she go and give cricket a real go? And how the conversation with her mother in particular was a lot more harder than the university. It was fascinating to hear her side on it.
Yeah, I think she was in a great position. She said she'd been offered the professional contract already. So that made the conversation that little bit easier, I suppose, speaking to the university, speaking to her families and her mum in particular to say, actually, the offer is on the table. This 1 year offer is on the table. Why not go and do it? And I think the university maybe see that as actually this is quite good for the university as well, because it's quite good coverage for the university to say, actually, we have an athlete who is taking a sabbatical and they're going to be going doing professional sport because it looks good in the university. The fact that she's managed to renew her contract and being able to go into her third year of professional cricket now, and she was talking about maybe at the end of the summer she has to make a decision. But the fact that the university have held her place for 3 years is incredible, and hats off to Glasgow University for doing that. I'm not sure many universities would do that because, you know, a lot of it's about money and about having students in because the income comes in from that way. But the fact that they've allowed her to do that has really given her an opportunity to do what she loves doing. And it's great to see, you can hear it and you can see from her when she talks about cricket, she talks about being an athlete, she loves it. But then she does go back to her dental route. She's talked about the Stefan curve there as well. A little bit of a nugget of information with the pH levels. So it's quite good to hear that from her too.
Yeah, it was great. And especially her journey in cricket as well, where initially she was just going with the flow. And the challenges she had as well when she was a young athlete and having to play with the boys' club and getting that experience. And then now to where she's a recognised professional cricketer and she's just going to go and see how far she can achieve in the sport.
Yeah, and John, she's so recognisable. She said that she was the first hijab-wearing professional cricketer, and as soon as you see her face, she's instantly recognisable, and she kind of took that in her stride. She said it obviously came with some difficulties, and we know that social media can be a cruel place at times with people just keyboard warriors, but the fact that she's now able to look at the bigger picture and the influence that she has had on females, like I can say it because my daughter looks up to her massively, and I'm very lucky that I'm friends with Abta, and she's been great in kind of sending Nina messages, birthday messages, signed T-shirts, and all that sort of stuff. But it just goes to show you what kind of person she is. So down to earth, could chat to her all day, and I'm really pleased for her. I'm really pleased that she was able to take the opportunity to really give it a go, because dentistry, yes, it's a good career. It's a very stable career. Can't really see robots taking over our jobs or AI taking over our jobs anytime soon. So yes, it is something that we are very lucky to do. But while you're young, fit and healthy, why not go and try and pursue your dreams, whatever that is?
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear about how some of the abuse she got on was from people that were gambling, and how a lot of the abuse was coming that way, which is really interesting because over the years, the sponsorship structure of a lot of sport has changed. Used to be a lot of smoking companies, cigarette companies would have sponsored sport, and then that's changed, and then alcohol companies, and they've changed that. But now the betting companies and the gambling platforms, they're all very heavily sponsoring sports, and they're very much in our faces when we're watching live sports. So it's really interesting how the other side of that is how the athletes themselves are getting impacted from online abuse from people that have maybe lost a bet on a match that they were involved in.
Yeah, I mean, betting's a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry, isn't it? So if you're playing professional sport and you do something by mistake, if you get a yellow card or if you get sin binned, you bowl a no ball, you intercept a pass, whatever it is, it could just be unlucky. Well, it's just unlucky that's happened. But then somebody's maybe put, even if it's £5 bet on it, it's still money that you're putting aside, right? But then there's people who are betting hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds on accumulators and all this sort of stuff. It kind of adds up. So if there's one specific moment in time or one specific athlete that has done something that's cost you, and it's very easy to sit behind a screen and just type and be a keyboard warrior and send abuse. How does that make you feel? Like, when you said something about negative, negative reviews and in practice, and you want to try and get rid of them, and there's always three sides to a story: what actually happened, your side and their side. But it's really important that you're just trying your best, and you shouldn't be subject to that level of abuse. So it's quite harrowing to hear that. But they've got things in place to kind of stop that from happening. When you're in the public eye, it's hard. I suppose you have to take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's that sort of side of it that you don't see, and you maybe don't hear a lot of. It's another one of these barrier, not so much a barrier, but one of these challenges that professional athletes need to overcome is trying to block out that noise and keep focused. So that was really interesting to hear. I think it's the first time I've maybe heard that. So that was a nice insight.
Yeah, I think so. If you can imagine somebody like her getting it, but then if you think about the world superstars, so like if you're looking at your Ronaldos, your Messis, the top 1% of professional athletes, or Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, and all these athletes and individuals, they must get some amount, but at the same time, they will have a way of blocking it all out, because that's what separates them from being the best and not being affected too much by that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it was another good podcast in the bag. We're fairly getting through them regularly. We may keep on this trend of maybe looking at not your typical sports dentist, but some involvement with sports dentists. We might look at some of our medical colleagues that could support the sports dentist to get on the podcast over the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely, because we always say there's no I in team, John. We always say that, no I in team. So it's really, we have to give our healthcare professionals an opportunity to come on, and we can discuss things that will relate to dentistry, obviously, which will relate to sports dentistry, but it'd be good to have their insight and their background and how they perceive us from their healthcare profession. So we do have some really, really good, exciting guests coming up. And yeah, hopefully the listeners will continue to engage and give us feedback. Touching on Manchester and the second conference, time is ticking. We're coming up to June now, and before you know it, the days will be long in the middle of summer, and then we'll count down to what will hopefully be a sunny day in Manchester. Any thoughts on Friday the 12th of September?
I'm still getting over last weekend. Maybe next weekend. Maybe next weekend I'll have a few more thoughts. But it is, the conferences are starting. Really looking forward to September. It's come together nicely. Speakers are confirmed. Everything's in place. And then next week is the start of my conferences. I'm going to be out in Lithuania at the end of the week. After we do our next pod, it'll be out to see Ruta and her conference out there. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing what's going on over there.
That's good. Yeah, it's a pretty busy time for you coming ahead. So it'll be great to hear how that goes. You obviously get to come to Ruta, who's been one of the guests on the pod. And yeah, that'll be fantastic. Now, I do know from experience now, John, that if you off having a good time, that I do not expect to hear from you for 48 to 72 hours. So regardless of how many messages I send you, I know that now I don't have to worry, that I know within it, I'll give you a 3-day limit. If I don't hear from you from 3 days, then I know something's wrong. So going forward, I'll not panic.
3 days are plenty of time for me to catch up my sleep.
Yeah. Good man.
Great. So until the next time,
We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.